unplug my computer.
I'm secretly doing it for my control panel in the chat. Just kicking me off for fun. Just joking. We are live right now, so welcome everybody to Knives, Guns, and Gear Chat, episode 15. That's pretty cool, 15 episodes. That's like a whole season if you're a TV show, right?
Yeah, right.
12 to 15 episodes. So we're gonna go ahead and stop after one season and cancel it. Just joking. Like so many good TV shows have done to us. Like Firefly, for example. I loved Firefly. One season. Ouch.
Yeah, that's on Hulu.
So I don't know what's up with Hancock. He didn't reply to the text message, and yeah, I don't know. I sent him an invite, so we'll see. We'll see if he comes. I'm still trying to find those
Steel
magazines.
AK mags.
Yeah. He's really good about updating his Facebook page, and I swear that's where I saw it. I'm just checking real quick. I'm not yet. So anyway, it's Andrew. What's going on, man?
Not much, just kind of laying low. I'm working on a watch review earlier tonight and last night, and yeah, I'm just kind of sitting on a lot of stuff. So I'm kind of excited to just produce some content. How are you guys?
Good.
Cool.
Yeah, same old, man. I just did it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's another thing I want to talk about tonight. Remind me if I don't remember to talk about full30.com.
Full30.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I just registered with them last week.
Okay. I found them, Metal Trooper. They are made by Gibbs Matra.
Okay.
They are $17.
Oh.
And he just got them in, so I'm assuming February 7th. He'll probably have a review up on them pretty soon on his channel, I think. He bought a Circle 10 AK. That can't be right. Oh, they're there. Yeah, $16.95. They are fully steel, U.S.-made AK mags. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait for some reviews to come out on those before I try them.
Okay, so we got a few people in the chat right now. We've got Hawaii Volcano Squad, Ben Long 1018, HNRE 42, and Skywarp 41. So starting light tonight, but we usually do, so that's all right. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, $17 for an AK mag. They are new, USA made. Now, what does a surplus mag run? Typically like $12-ish.
Something like that. I had a couple months ago. I got a killer deal on some Romanian 30-round mags. They were used, but when I got them, they were in immaculate shape, and I paid $6 a piece for them.
Yeah, I think I bought some. I want to say they were Chinese, possibly Romanians, for $10 a piece not too long ago. I bought a bunch of them.
Yeah.
So, $17 is for a brand new magazine. I mean, these are not surplus. Some of the surplus mags can come in rough shape, and a lot of them are covered in cosmoline and nasty and everything. So I'd be curious to see how these steel mags run. I might pick one up. It's got ripped walls. Here's a plus though. It is a bolt hold open.
Okay.
So you can really only find that on the the Yugoslavian mags, and they run $30 a piece, I think.
Well, there was the Croatian ones coming in, and they were bolt hold open, and I know when they first came in, they were $11 a piece. And I think they were brand new.
Wow, what do you find those at?
Ames Surplus had them, but they're out. They've been out for quite a while. But I think they're starting to come back in, but I think they're a little bit more than $11 a piece. Not much more. But they're supposed to be some great mags, and that was I waited too late to get them, and they were sold out by the time before I made that decision.
Because I run those Weapon Tech followers in my mags, that give you the last round hold bolt. Oh my gosh, I cannot say that. It's like a mouthful. Last round bolt hold open. There we go. Can't say it too fast. Those are like $5 a piece.
Okay.
So you put those in a mag, you're paying. I mean, if you put them in a $10 mag, you're paying $15 right there. So that's really not a bad deal when you consider they're a brand new USA-made magazine with the bolt hold open feature. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I might have to buy some. Wonder if it looks like they have them in stock.
Well, I know a lot of ranges when you're not shooting, you're supposed to have your bolt open, and with AKs that's not possible unless you have those bolt hold open mags. Unless you just get like a chamber flag or something, an empty chamber flag.
Well, there's more reasons behind them, I think, than just those two. Like it's a good training aid, man, because that bolt's, unless you train with AKs a lot. If you train with like an AR, your bolt's always gonna hold open,
Right.
And if you're used to that, and you're using an AK, it takes some getting used to have that click. Oh, nothing there. Got to change my mag. You know what I mean? Like, it's nice to have that. I have that on my, I think I think about six of my magazines have the followers in them, so they have the last round hold open. That's really nice. I might pick some of those up. I wonder if they're the only place that sells them. I guess they've been out for a few months, man. He kind of made it sound like they just came in.
That's what I thought. I've only really been hearing about them for maybe about the past, maybe end of January, beginning of February. So probably only about maybe 2 or 3 weeks.
So I'm just looking on the internet, and there's a post from July about them. That's a long time ago. Yeah. Huh. We'll see. I might have to pick some up. We'll see if I can find the best price on them. Get a couple of them. You can't always have enough magazines, right?
No.
Andrew, I was trying to get Metal Trooper to tell me how many mags he has for his AK, because I think it might be like a huge number. I mean, he collects them. So
I don't even know. Yeah.
Do you have like your range mags that you use just to shoot with, and you leave the other ones alone, kind of thing, or do you use all of them? And he's frozen.
Okay, great, perfect timing.
Look at his face. That is so awesome. What a great face to be frozen on.
It's terrifying. It's like a Nicolas Cage smile or something.
Oh, it's all black now. Dang it.
Oh no, that's funny.
He probably got no. When I click on his name, it makes it all black, but when everyone can see it, that's classic. That's like a cheesy looking grin. I love it. Like caught a mid smile. Well, he's frozen in time right now, so we'll continue on without him.
Oh man.
You remember what we were going to talk about the end of last chat, and I said let's save it for next week, and I can't remember.
Yeah, I think you were going to give a little bit of like an inside look into getting into pre-orders on traditional knives.
Yes, that's what it was. Thank you.
And I realized that after you talked about that, I could tell you a little bit about my experience about buying direct from Japan, which has been a new experience for me getting this limited edition Seiko, and it's been kind of interesting. So
yeah,
kind of complements what you'd be talking about, I think. So, but yeah, why don't you, is he gone for sure? Or?
He's not talking, and he looks still frozen on my screen. He's probably talking on his own screen and doesn't realize we can't hear him.
Oh, that's terrible. That's such a bummer.
Oh, there you go.
Okay,
twice.
That's great.
Oh, that's freaking two of you.
I lost internet connection for some reason.
I can see. Okay, now there's only one. It was really funny, Metal. It froze on your face, and you had like a really cheesy smile. And it was just really kind of, we were getting a kick out of it. So
I was sitting here talking, and I seen you guys were froze, and I looked down, and I'm like, crap. I don't know. Here lately, my computer will. I guess I'll lose internet connection for, you know, about a minute, and then it'll come back on. I don't know what the deal is with that, but it's kind of been doing that a lot the past couple days.
Responding to a comment in the comment section. So we got a few new viewers since we're kind of on a pause here. From Urban and Country Homestead just joined, and actually that's Ben Long 18 has been on here. So what I was asking you, dude, before you got frozen time was, do you have like certain mags that you shoot and others you don't because you collect them, or do you shoot them all?
No, that's what I was saying when I froze up. But like I said, when I some mags I collect, I'll take the worst one and I'll put that in my pile that I use to shoot, and then the nicer ones I'll put up, for the collection part. But I mean, if I had to, I would, if it came down to it, I would use every one of them.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I have like range mags that I take just to go shooting, and then I have mags that I like to call my like go mags. If I had to grab it and go, and they're fully loaded, and you know what I mean. So
yeah, I have about
separate.
Yeah, I have about 10 or 15 of those loaded up and ready to go. But they're like some of my, like for my AK-7 or my AK-47, those are all, military surplus, Chinese, Romanian steel mags. And then like for my AK-74, most of those are Circle 10, the Bulgarian Circle 10, and then I've got a few East German Bakelite mags. So I got those all loaded up, ready to go.
Yeah, I think it's a smart idea. So
I had one AK question, if you don't mind interrupting the Mag Talk. I was wondering, how do you think the Kalashnikov USA stuff happening this year is going to affect the market for AKs? Do you think prices are going to go down, or what do you expect to see?
I don't know. I don't really think it's going to affect it too bad. I mean, there might be some, price wars, at the beginning, but I think most of the, there's always that niche of people. Some people can't afford the higher dollar AKs, so they're going to be buying, the less.
Oh, and he froze again. Damn it.
Man, he's having internet problems there in Illinois. It's Obama.
Take Obama.
Blame everything on Obama.
Anyway. What do you think about my question?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think Century Arms has already been kind of impacting the market because they've been producing AKs in the U.S. for a little while now, and for the most part they're pretty good, and they have a new one out that's supposed to be, even better than the first generation. But yeah, having the actual like Kalashnikov experience come and make AKs in the U.S. is going to be like a big deal, I think. I actually think the price will go up on AKs though, not down.
Well, why do you say that? No, that's very interesting.
Well, just think about, it kind of relates to producing things in the U.S. versus producing things overseas. You know what I mean? The cost of labor,
Right.
that kind of stuff. I mean, you're not going to be able to pay a bunch of foreigners, to come work in the AK factory. I don't think so.
Right.
You're probably going to have USA, U.S. born employees, and they're going to have higher wages than they probably would in Russia or Yugoslavia or the other countries where AKs are made now. And that's one reason why they import them over here. Because they can make a good profit. I don't know. I think you'll see a price increase on those. I mean, you'll probably have them closer to be. I mean, you're a good decent AK right now. Like the Yugo NPAP's like $600 or around there, maybe a little less. I think you'll probably be, an Arsenal is like over 1,000. I think he'll be somewhere in between there, probably like $700 or $800 is my guess, but that's just total speculation, no idea. But I think it will. I think they'll go up in price. Now, as far as the market's concerned, it'll be good for the market because I think you'll see a lot of high quality stuff, and some variation and such. But I think it's going to drive prices up a little bit. So for the non, but then you'll still have your Romanian guns that are still the Wassers and stuff that are lower end AKs. Those will still be imported, I'm sure. It's just Russian AKs that the sanctions are on. So,
Right.
And those are typically more expensive anyway because they're the real deal,
Right. Yeah.
So, but I mean, you look at the Saga guns; those are all made in Izhmash factory in Russia. They're no longer imported really, and they were really reasonably priced. I mean, but majority of them then didn't come into the country. They came in like a sporting fashion, like they had a hunting stock and they'd actually moved the trigger back, and you had to convert a Sega to make it like a real AK.
Okay.
And I've gone through that process on a shotgun, on a Sega 12 shotgun, and it was actually a pretty fun project.
That's
It
cool.
was definitely a project. It was more than I've ever done, like gunsmithing wise. So, but
Cool.
it was cool. But these AKs will be fully assembled. They'll be full on AKs. They won't have to convert them or anything. So that's kind of nice. Because the quality of those Segas is really good.
I think that, from what I can tell, it's definitely going to increase demand because I think that a lot of guys that I know who collect carbines are basically it's much easier to get into the AR-15 platform just because of accessibility. There's so many options readily available, and it's probably true as well for AK-47s, but it's going to be even more so this way. I think the AK is a really fun recreational rifle. It's very super easy to use because it's so reliable. So I'm kind of interested, especially thinking that maybe some of the entry level stuff, the prices will even come down, considering that you'll have the market diversified a little bit more. But I don't know. I definitely agree with that. Some prices are definitely going to go up, like if there's stuff that's made in the USA, but it carries all of the panache of Kalashnikov, and that's going to command a higher price than an import. It also seems like you pay more for a new gun than you would for a service gun. It seems like that makes sense to me.
Yeah, and I think what it will do is like Arsenal kind of has this high-end AK market kind of monopolized almost in the U.S.
Yeah.
And that will drive their prices down on those AKs because I think the Kalashnikovs will be less expensive. Again, speculation. Who knows how much they're really going to cost? But
yeah,
I just think it's cool. I'm definitely going to buy one of them. I don't know which one.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Polish ones. As Mel Trooper was saying one time before, that the Polish AKs are really, really high quality, and they may be like the cream of the crop. Even more so than the Kalashnikov ones, but who knows? He's back. Hopefully, he don't drop off again.
This is starting to really piss me off here.
That's the last warning. After that, you're not coming back in. I'll block you. I don't know how, but I will.
Like right when I'm right in the middle of something, it's just like.
Yep. Yeah, we were kind of discussing Andrew's question about what the having those AKs made in the U.S. would do to the market. So.
Yeah, there's going to be the people that can afford the lesser expensive ones, and then there's people that's going to be able to afford the higher end ones. Which that might be a good thing because more people might be able to afford them now.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to have one. That would be sweet.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
All right. So, Andrew, we're going to talk about the traditional knife pre-orders. So, I don't know if I want to divulge this secret to the world because, man,
I know how you feel. And actually, I can't explain everything about buying the. I mean, there's some kind of like some individual exchanges that happened with getting this Seiko that I can't talk about because there's a guy who just reached out to me, basically another collector. And but in generalities, what are some tips that you would give for guys who just want to stay ahead of the curve at least on what's coming out?
Well, it's actually pretty simple. A lot of the special order knives, they call them SFOs, the GEC does, are for collectorsknives.net. His name is Mike, and most of those knives go right through him. Knife Ship Free does some, the Northwoods lines that are all made by them. They don't really offer any kind of pre-order on those. They just kind of, he puts them up on the site and they just kind of go,
Mm-hmm.
But Mike over at Collector's Knives, he has a way to go on his page, and you can actually see what's what's in the queue, so to speak, with GEC. What's going to be made next. There is an option typically for to be notified, just to get on their list. So when those are I just got a text message the other day, and I haven't looked on the site yet, that they added a new pattern to the website. Basically, they're going to be for the schedule. So it's not produced yet; it's a ways out. So there's that way you can get on their website. There's a link you can click on to get on the mailing list. Now, with these 77s, the Barlows, they are kind of a different animal altogether. Because I've been on that list now for a while, and he actually emailed everyone on that list saying we're going to be doing this differently. Instead of using the typical link, there's going to be a special link. So if you didn't know about that and weren't looking around on the website, you wouldn't have had an idea. So being that I was on the email list, that's how I got on that pre-order. And then he did a discount price for those who pre-ordered and paid early, because typically you don't have to pay. You just get on there and say, I want in for this knife and this, this blade shape with this cover, and you just basically get on the list, so to speak. And sometimes you would get them, and sometimes you wouldn't. With these, and I don't know how he's going to do the future runs, but with these Barlows, he did it where you could actually prepay ahead of time. So that's what I did.
Did you like that? Was that something you were happy to do, or?
Yeah, because he offered a discount for one.
Oh.
So there was a discount off the knife. It wasn't a lot, but it adds up. And then, yeah, I definitely liked that. And then you're guaranteed to have what you wanted, For me, I was like, well, I'm just going to get a bunch of them and see which ones I like and then just sell the rest,
Yeah.
Because I knew it was such a high, I mean, if you didn't get it on the pre-order, you're very unlikely that you're going to get one unless you buy it secondary market,
Yeah.
And, I posted something on the slip joint. Oh my gosh, what's the last? Thank you, Paradigm. I cannot think of the word. Slip joint Paradigm. That I was gonna have a couple extras. Man, you wouldn't believe how many people I've been having messaging me, dude. So I keep telling everyone, I'm like, well, I've got a buddy that already paid me for one, and he's got first dibs on whatever I don't like. You gotta wait and see what he does, and then I'll see.
I know. That's why I was kind of like, boy, I better get you your money right away as soon as we.
Well, yeah, you're smart doing that. Because one other guy's like, oh, I definitely want this one and this one if you have one. I'm like, well, when this other guy's ahead of you, he already paid. I was kind of like, hint, hint. If you want to reserve one, you certainly can, but it's gonna cost you some money, bro. And I don't know. I've got 4 or 5 guys that want me to contact him, and I can't keep track of that.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Nor should you. I mean, that's not the way it works. I mean,
you paid me, so I can just go back and look at my PayPal and be like, even if we weren't friends, I could be like, oh, this guy paid me for this, and I could need to ship him one.
Well, and I would normally never pay for a knife from someone on the secondary before it's even released, except for the fact that I totally trust you,
Yeah.
And I mean, it's interesting because I see things like this happening in the watch world with boutique watches all the time, and it's very controversial because there are some brands like Mark II, for example. They sell relatively high-end boutique watches, like over $1,000, and they'll have pre-orders out for years sometimes. And if you don't get on the pre-order list right away, you won't be able to get access to the knife, or to the watch, I mean. And then when it finally comes out, like sometimes it'll be a year or 2 years later, it'll immediately hit, secondary values that are close to double what it came out with. So there was one example of one called the Kingston that Mark II came out with, and the pre-order was under $1,000. I think it was $700 or $800, I forget. But as soon as they came out, they were all instantly $1,800, which is crazy money for a boutique. Like you can get a Seamaster Professional for that. But that's just how much demand has been built up. So it's interesting because I think that's a marketing strategy that brands can leverage, but it's also kind of risky because unless you have a lot of trust built in to your retail model, I mean, you would totally burn people, right? I mean, if you can't deliver a product, I mean.
Well, that's something similar that ZT's gone through, with
exactly.
their limited edition knives, and they dealers were actually selling them for a lot more, knowing that it was a limited edition knife, and it caused them to stop doing that. So they did the last limited edition, the Ruby, was sold right on their website.
Yep.
And it was kind of a debacle because they had some big time problems with the Shoptron or whatever they use, and it just some people thought they got them, some people didn't. It was kind of a crazy disaster.
Yeah. Instagram was crazy right when the sale was going on.
Yeah.
All the comments and stuff.
The website was crashing. I'm like, okay, this is a bad idea. So, interestingly enough, for the ZT392, which will be out next week, by the way.
Yeah.
Kind of a heads up.
Are you getting one?
Probably, yeah. I want one. Here's the problem, is that they're not going to be sold directly by Kai again.
Oh,
what they're doing is they're actually letting certain dealers sell them, and no one knows who the dealers are. They're going to announce the dealers the day before.
Yeah.
And then the next day the dealers can go live. So you're going to have more than one spot to buy them from, which is nice. But I'm just a little nervous about pricing, if it's going to be a flat price everywhere, or if you're going to have that gouging going on, or what,
And it seems like you're not going to have a lot of time, at least initially, to figure out where's the best price. I mean, you're going to just have to see everything at once and take your best shot,
Well, I'm curious. I could see Kershaw guy being one of the vendors. He typically a lot of stuff like that, but he may not. They may have reserved it strictly for like the big time money makers like Blade HQ and Knife Center and those kind of big, big huge ones.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting. I thought about sending Dave Kershaw guy an email because I've bought so many knives over him through the years, and I've actually talked to him personally on email many times, and I'm thinking, man, maybe he's one of the dealers. But I think ZT, because the way they're handling it, is
discouraging.
Like secretive, like we're gonna release it on the 18th. You're gonna get an email. This is where you can buy it.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
It's interesting. You'll have more spots to buy it, but I kind of like that they were doing it directly on their website.
Yeah, it's just too bad they didn't have the infrastructure to make it work, because I agree that was the simplest, at least. And you knew exactly what you had to do in order to play the game. I mean, that's the thing that I think can be frustrating for collectors, is having to figure out along the way to how you're going to get something, and you don't even know if you're going to get it at the end. Like kind of, even for someone like us, where we're definitely like on the more extreme enthusiast side. I mean, doing all these reviews and stuff. I mean, with the Seiko that I got. So for guys who don't know, Seiko's 50th anniversary, basically, of their dive watches, and they've released a couple limited edition Seiko divers that are really cool and relatively low production numbers. And one of them is the Marine Master 300, which is an amazing but $2,000 dive watch that I don't have the dineros for. But the other one that they released is basically a heavily updated version of the Sumo, which has always been kind of like Seiko's watch that you get if you want something a little bit nicer than their entry-level die watches, but it's still always well under $1,000. And the Sumo has a ton of improvements over the previous version. It goes from a hard Lex to a sapphire crystal. They've improved the bezel, so it's like a lot of the higher-end Seiko dive watches. It's like some kind of composite. I don't know exactly. Some people are saying it's tungsten. They don't really know what the material is made of, but it's an upgraded, basically, bezel insert. And then the dial is greatly improved. But the thing is it was a Japanese domestic market item only, and they're only making 2,000 of it. And so basically what happened is it came live on a bunch of Japanese retail sites as a pre-order. And guys who were really hardcore Seiko collectors went ahead and made a pre-order on these websites that at least for me, I would be not normally buying stuff from at all. I mean, you pay in yens, and it's just like you can't read anything. I mean, they have translations, but it's like you don't really know what you're actually getting involved with at all. Yeah, it was like I mean, it's weird because what the main Japanese retailers, they basically have storefronts with retail shops in the storefront, so it's kind of like eBay for Japan, except it's just all buy it now stuff. And you kind of have to know which sellers are the trustworthy ones. And so, like, I was just doing, like, a crash course and, like, well, which storefronts are the ones people actually buy from, and, blah, 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 blah. And then, as soon as the pre-orders were closed and they actually started selling the watches, they all sold out right away. And the pre-order was right around 500. They all came to market around 530, and then they all sold out. And then they all came back, and they were 600. And then they sold out again, and now they're like 700 or 800. And I came in right after they sold out at the 530 mark, and so I spent all of my time when they were selling for 600 seeing if I could find one for 530, and then they sold out again. And I was like, crap, this is a drag. Like, how am I gonna? I mean, it was like maybe I'm not gonna be able to do this. And then finally, what happened is basically I got in touch with a guy who's a more dedicated Seiko collector and said, well, look, here's the individual who's actually managing one of these shops, and if you call him or email him, which is what I did, and you let them know that I've been in touch with you, maybe he'll give you the original pre-order price if you get in touch with him right away. And that's what I was able to do. So I saved $200 just because basically a collector gave me some guy's direct email. And the funny part about it was that it wasn't even the correct email when I got it. The guy did not actually, he had the wrong email. And so I ended up searching for the person on the internet and happened to find his email in another collector's forum where they were talking about the guy. So it was just like in a tremendous, I never spent more time looking for a new watch. Because that's one thing is that most watch retail markets are like extremely accessible because it's a lot of money. If people want to buy it, they want to buy it right away. But I imagine it's probably like that, trying to get some imported firearm stuff in, like trying to work around legal provisions and stuff, even to a greater extreme,
Yeah. I bought a watch once off eBay. We lost Middle Trooper again, Louise.
Oh, man.
I bought, this is years ago, probably like 3 years ago. I was looking for my first Seiko Monster, and I wanted the white one.
Right.
Yeah. So they're not a U.S. market. I mean, you can't really buy them unless you buy them overseas. Yeah. And there was a bunch on eBay, but they're all in Singapore.
Right.
I'm like, I'm gonna buy one. It's the guy. They had like really high feedback on eBay, and I'm like, I'll buy it. And I never got that stinking watch, dude.
Yeah.
It got stuck in customs somewhere, and it got lost forever. And I got my money back, but it took a while. And since then, I have like been so hesitant to ever buy overseas, man. Big time.
I mean, it's a gamble no matter what. I mean, like for example, so I bought from this trustworthy guy, and he's using the right shipping service and everything, so that I don't get dinged with like tons of import fees and stuff. And the watch landed in Chicago, and it's just sitting in customs right now. And most of the guys who have had similar experiences say, yeah, it'll just sit in customs for a week, and then it'll show up at your door. You won't even get a shipping notification. But like, there have been other guys who said, yeah, I got hit with a $150 import fee. for the watch a watch of similar price, and so I'm just kind of keeping my fingers crossed that nothing crazy happens at the end.
That would suck.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It would be ridiculous.
For a watch, I mean, who cares? It's not like it's not like you're importing a dangerous item. You're importing a watch. Like, give me a break.
I know, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's all just based on I mean, to some extent, arbitrary bureaucratic BS and red tape, but also like what they estimate the proper import fees and taxes and stuff would be, which it's really weird and stuff I was completely unfamiliar with until recently.
Well, at least yours is in the country.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, really, for real. I mean, that's sort of the main thing is that it actually got to the country really quickly. As soon as I paid, it was there in like less than 2 days, I think. I think it was I paid, and then there was one full day, and then on the second day in the morning, it was already in America. Yeah, it's just a totally different extreme than like the whole like buddy collectors buying things from each other, you know. Just goes out. It gave me a really big sense of how global some of these hobbies are. I mean that company is huge as Seiko, which certainly produces millions and millions of watches every year, can produce 2,000 watches, and there's like a huge demand in a country that's not even offered. But,
you know, someone made a comment in the comments here about metal watches, saying that they can't wear them because it pulls their arm hair out. And I'm guessing they're talking just about the band, not the actual watch, because that's not really possible. But and I was just commenting, that's what those NATO bands are for, man. Because I don't even like wearing, steel bracelets anymore. Ever since I started wearing NATO bands, it's like, oh man, this is so much lighter and comfortable.
Oh
and
yeah.
it doesn't pull your arm hair out.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm wearing NATOs probably 90% of the time. I mean, NATOs are Zulus. I mean, they're basically the same thing with different strap keepers. And the thing is it's amazing because there's no hotspots. I mean, hotspots are something we talk a lot about with knives, but it's also something that applies to watch straps, where if it doesn't basically wrap evenly or ergonomically around your wrist, it can be really annoying. I have a hard time with bracelets too, for another reason, that my wrist expands a lot. I don't know if yours does, but like it can expand almost to 1/4 of an inch throughout the day. Like, and I'm not Hulk. I mean, it's just like random.
I've never noticed. Maybe it does. I've never noticed.
But that for me, I found like my watches with bracelets can get crazy uncomfortable. I mean, if there's like a situation, especially where I need to lift something, or I'm exerting myself in any way, having something a metal bracelet around your wrist that's constraining your movement is definitely not ergonomic at all.
Yeah, so that's why I'm curious about that Leatherman watch, because it's got like this crazy,
I'll be honest. That thing sounds like carpal tunnel syndrome central to me. Like,
yeah, people are all of a sudden suing Leatherman for carpal tunnel syndrome.
It's gonna have to weigh 1 million pounds. I mean, with all the stuff on it.
Yeah, I only wear the bracelets typically like for dress occasions,
Right.
And I'm only wearing that watch for maybe like a few hours at a time, and then it's going back in the box because it's like a dress watch, and then I'll just wear the NATO bands. I can't believe I just barely feel like I was introduced to NATO bands and the Zulu type straps and stuff. It's like it makes watches like quite a bit lighter. You know what I mean? Like some watches, I'm like, oh, this watch is heavy. You remove that stainless bracelet, and you're like, wow, this thing's a lot more comfortable.
It can be easily half the weight, depending on, especially on a lot of boutique dive watches, where they'll put like crazy thick bracelets on these dive watches just for overkill, just because they can, and it's ridiculous. I mean, some guys love it, but it's rare to find a bracelet for me that is robust and comfortable. I mean, that's kind of the appeal of the Rolex Oyster bracelets. Is like they're like one of the few bracelets that I've had that like basically they're super thin and super ergonomic, and yet they never break. I mean, even really old ones won't break as long as you're like properly, making sure they're not getting too scuzzed up, and all the pins are straight and everything. Yeah, it's interesting stuff.
Well, that's interesting. I just saw something on um, Facebook about the new Fremont. There's going to be another run of Fremont Jacks coming out.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like,
It looks
oh
like
boy.
there's going to be
I don't have one. Do you have any of those?
I do. I have a green micarta one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's a pretty sweet model. I think.
Yeah, I love that. It's like one of my favorite slippies, and I love that Warncliffe blade shape. I mean, that's the same blade shape they're doing on the forum, or on the not the forum knife, the group knife,
Yeah.
for that. But I was just looking at the picture here. There's gonna be cocobolo wood on there. That's pretty nice looking.
Okay. Cool. No,
I don't know all the handles they're gonna come out with. I'm sure they'll do camel bone. That's like their big seller for Northwoods, is the blue camel bone and the different bones. I think that's one thing I'll say about Northwoods, which is interesting because they're made by GEC for the most part, except for the Indian River. Yeah. But they use like their bone is so pretty and so nice looking on the camel bone, but you don't see GEC. GEC rarely uses camel bone on their other patterns unless they're making it for Northwoods. You don't see it. And I wonder if that's some sort of like agreement they have, like, hey, we're sticking, camel bone's kind of Northwoods thing, and GEC, don't do it kind of thing. I don't know. I've never seen them use camel bone on any of their knives. They always use a different type of bone material. So
I'd be really interested in hearing more about the relationship. I mean, obviously, we all generally know the relationship that Derek Warren has with Radius and Cutlery, and I mean, Queen too. It's Queen that makes the Indian River Jacks, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So in general, we all understand that there's some kind of agreements in place there. But I mean, it's a small enough community where I think like telling the inside story of like how the collaboration process works and how they develop models and that kind of thing would be really interesting for me to hear about. I mean, it's pretty. What Northwoods is really a unique brand if you think about it. Basically, it's just a completely it's a completely novel thing to have a revived brand that is marketed through a knife sale website, and it's produced by other companies, and they're really good. It's not like a derivative thing like how Case will make knives for all kinds of gun companies or something, and they'll just brand it differently. But they're really a unique product. So.
Yeah, I like the Northwoods. They're some of my favorite traditionals. I like the patterns they've run. So
the one question I had is I was reading something about how the unfinished portions of their carbon steel blades, how they obviously are rough finish, where there's above the grinds basically.
They leave the heat treat on there. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you noticed play developed there at all because of the fact it wasn't heat treated?
Did you say play?
Yeah, so like people are saying, I was just reading some guys commenting about how I don't know if it was their Fremont Jacks or one of them. Basically, they're just saying like, oh, I really like this knife, but it's developing play because the knife isn't treated obviously in the place where it's interacting with the scales.
Oh, it's treated. It's heat treated. It's just not. Like that's what's cool about that is that. Grab one. Oh, I have it. No, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't tell how deep so the knife is heat treated. They just don't remove the heat treat. Like finish it out. It's just for that look. So I don't see why that would affect the pivot or anything. I don't know. That's interesting. I haven't heard that before.
But yeah, it's one of those things where basically they were saying it's cool book, but it's going to actually develop into a problem later, which that's the first I had heard of it. So I was just wondering if you noticed there was any play going on. But
sorry, I'm just responding to a comment.
Who else hanging out right now?
It's the same people. Ormond Country Homestead, Ben Long, Gary Bright 19, AZ Prepper, and Ben Long again. Yep, same, pretty much Hawaii Volcano Squad, same guys. So.
Okay, cool. Thanks for sticking around, guys.
Yeah, I was just commenting that they were saying I can't wear leather or plastic watches because it makes them break out, but just asked if you tried the nylon NATO straps because they're super comfy and lightweight, and I haven't had any problems there. But
I haven't had problems with plastic watches either. And actually, the rubber I think on a lot of the G-Shocks is hypoallergenic, if I'm remembering correctly.
I was wearing my G-Shock earlier today, and I can't. It's like I forget how big of a watch it is when I wear these other ones, and I put that thing on. Like, whoa.
So talk a little bit about some of those field watches that you had come in, because you got some really interesting stuff. I want to hear your impressions of them.
Yeah, I liked them both. I got I have the Maritac right here.
And that's a version 1, right?
What?
That's a version 1, right?
It is an old version, yeah. Let's see if I can get a better. It's kind of blurry. There we go. Yeah, it's got the arrow at the top versus the number 12, which I like that style better. That's more classic pilot in what I've seen anyway.
Yeah, it is. It is.
This is the mid pilot, so it's a 39 millimeter case, and I kind of am unsure if I like the size or not.
Too big or too small?
Too small.
Yeah.
I think the smallest watch I have right now is a 42, and I like that size, 42 to 46-ish. And the other one's a 46. A lot of people complain about it being too big, the regular pilot.
Right.
So I'm kind of on the fence. I may exchange it. They do offer exchanges from the first 10 days, so that's why it's not on my wrist right now because I don't want to wear it if I'm going to exchange it. The Seiko, I really, really like that Seiko, man. It's a nice watch. The loom on it is really good. I saw that picture I threw up on Instagram today. I like how the numbers glow too. On this variation.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know that they had changed that. That's to me, that's a big positive, significant.
Yeah, I thought so. I mean, it was worth. It's. Well, the one you have is like the Japanese one, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yes. No, we're on chat. We're on live. Why?
Sorry. Hi, Tyler's wife.
She didn't come in this time. She's just got back from the gym, so she didn't want to flash everyone like last time.
Okay.
I did not flash people.
Yeah, people said they saw down here last time.
I did not.
Get out, dude!
They can't see me from over here.
You'd be surprised. Just don't come behind me.
I did not flash anything.
Yeah, I think you did.
I did not.
Just a little cleavage. It's okay. Anyway, what's up, Metal? You're back.
Yeah. I don't know what the hell's going on. I mean, it only does this when I'm on a chat, and it's only recently started doing that the past couple weeks. So I don't know if it's got something to do with Google or I don't know.
Yeah, it's Obama.
Probably.
Obama's surely watching, and he doesn't like your presence.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have made anti-Obama comments before, so maybe that's
Andrew, I don't know if this. I think this is true, but on the G-Shocks, I don't think they can run NATO bands, can they?
You can buy adapters for them.
Oh.
Models, and I think they're aftermarket, so they're not pretty. I mean, usually I've just lived with the rubber straps, which, in my experience, they do break in after a while. I mean, as much as a rubber strap like that will break in. Or maybe I just get used to it.
Yeah, that could be it. One of the guys in the comments was saying he tried to get a NATO band, but I remembered that you couldn't just swap it out like you could on a typical watch. But yeah, that Seiko is it's nice, but I'm actually having to return it, man.
Oh really? What's wrong with it?
The second hand keeps getting stuck like on the 35 to 40 second range. It'll just stick there.
It'll just stick. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I can't like move it. So like, I'm like, has the power reserve low or something? I'd give it a little shake because it's an automatic, doesn't do anything. The only way I can get it to go is if I actually have to kind of reset the time.
That's probably a problem that's probably a defect in the movement actually.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So because it's done it to me like 5 or 6 times, I just decided to send it back to Amazon.
Yeah, that's a good
And
idea.
I'm really disappointed though, because it's a cool. I really like the look of the watch, and I think it's that gunmetal finish is really kind of unique, and I like that, and I really like it a lot. It's like a perfect size, 42 millimeter, but it is a cheaper movement than the monsters, and the SK series. So I'm wondering, but you've had yours for a while, haven't you?
Yeah. It's it's probably been 2 or 3 years. Um, it's actually my brother-in-law's watch, and we swap watches. But basically, yeah, he's had it for a long time,
Oh,
and it's been flawless. So, um, but yeah, I mean, I would even just return it and buy another one if you're interested in seeing it, because that's almost certainly an example of those movements are all pretty much just automated construction. Like there's probably maybe one guy who's like making sure that the watch starts at the end of the production line or something, but you probably just got a bad example.
yeah.
Which I mean, it's hard to I know exactly what it's like to buy a watch and then you get a lemon and you lose enthusiasm for the watch. So I mean, it might not be worth it to buy a second one if you lost the feels. Um, but it's a very good size of 42 millimeters. And one of the things I like about that watch is the big chapter ring bordering the dial actually makes it wear a little bit smaller. Like the dial appears a little bit smaller, so that's one thing that. Anyway, yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, I mean, I actually was doing a video, kind of like a impressions video, kind of an overview on it,
Yeah.
and that's kind of where I first noticed it, and it like made me pause in the video. I was like, the time's not moving. What's going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like threw me for a loop, and I had to like try to recover from that and kind of continue on. And then I'm like, well, I'll just give it some time. I'll just keep wearing it today and see, And it kept doing it.
Yeah.
It would just occasionally doing it, and I'm like, yeah, that's got to be defective. So I bought it off Amazon, which is great because you can return it like no problem,
Right.
very easy. So
Definitely, yeah.
I've already printed out the form and everything. Hold on 2 seconds. I'm gonna shut my door real quick.
Mel, do you wear a watch at all? I just asked Mel Trooper a question and he froze again.
Oh my gosh, he just keeps getting kicked, man.
That sucks.
Yeah, the Maritac. I really like the quality. Seems pretty good, man, for the money. I mean, it's solid. The sapphire's nice. You can definitely tell the difference between a sapphire crystal and a mineral or the hardlex on the Seikos and stuff.
Yeah. Is it
Definitely
dome
different.
sapphire? Or is it actually like a little bit of a curve?
It's got a little bit of a dome to it.
Yeah. I like that.
And the movement is really nice on it, man. And it's you can wind it, self-winding, so you can you don't have to put on a winder like you would the Seikos and stuff. So it's kind of nice. Now, I like it. I'm just kind of deciding if I want to keep this size or go to the bigger one.
Right.
They are the same price, which is weird, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You would think that the larger one would be a little bit more expensive because it's got a larger case diameter, but
Yeah.
but it's a really lightweight watch. It's very comfortable. Like you don't really know it's there. So I kind of like that feature of it. For being a stainless steel, with the sapphire, you think it would be a little bit heavier, but it's not.
Right.
But just because I recently learned about these, and they've been out for like 3 years, I think.
Yeah.
The new monsters, because the monster I had was a Gen 1.
Yep.
And it had the original movement, and it it was self-winding. You couldn't wind it. You couldn't hack the movement. The new monsters have the self-winding and hacking movement on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's crazy is they're not any more expensive. Like
Yeah.
they are the same price, but if you don't know what you're looking for, you wouldn't know that's what you're buying. You wouldn't know that you're getting those extra features.
Right.
So I ended up buying another one off Amazon, actually. When I returned this other one, I'm like, well, I'll just use the funds to buy this monster.
Nice.
But they have, there's some differences, and I'm probably going to do a comparison video between the two, the original monster and the new monster. But for me, it was like, geez, that's a no-brainer, man. I mean, you get self-winding movement, you get the hacking, and you can even hack the heck at second hand, which is cool.
Yeah.
And that's usually only found on like higher-end watches. I mean, you can't in my experience anyway. I could be wrong.
No, you're right. You're definitely right.
The Maritac, you can't hack the second hand. You can wind it, but you can't hack the movement. It's got that citizen movement in it.
Oh, is that right? Okay, that's interesting.
So,
yeah, I'm not super familiar with that movement. Yeah, the only watches that hack and hand wind that are automatics that are really at the cheap end are actually Chinese movements, that's kind of you roll the dice with the Chinese movement. The quality's been more consistent because demand has been going up for them because guys are looking for alternatives to the Swiss movements, which are shrinking, and so anyway, it's just been kind of an interesting thing there. But you might like the Orient Flight though too, man. Actually, just as an alternative to the Seiko 5. I actually think I like the Orient Flight a little bit better than I like the Seiko 5. And it's just got a little bit.
The Orient Flight.
Yeah, Orient Flight. So that's like the Orient Pilot watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the same 42 millimeter case size, and I think it's a little bit thinner, like marginally thinner than the Seiko. So I find it wears a little bit more comfortably, and that's also an automatic movement that hacks, I believe. I was gonna say something else too. I forget. I don't remember. About the monster thing. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, so that was a smart move, upgrading your monster. Did you hear that there's a shrouded monster out? That was something I just found out about like in the last week.
No, I haven't.
Have you heard of like the Seiko Tuna?
Yeah.
So like it's got a shroud very similar to the Tuna.
Oh man, seriously, they're gonna kill me. It's like
I know. Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, the whole like monster comparison thing. I think that's a great idea for a video, by the way. And I've been wanting to do that too. The problem is that there's a lot of variations, and I was sort of like, I don't know which ones to pick, because at first I was just thinking do a Gen 1, Gen 2 comparison. But the thing is there are like a couple other, like there's something called the Mini Monster, which is 100 meters of water resistance. That's the monster style. And I thought, well, maybe I could throw that one in there as well. And then, yeah, so then it's just one of those things where comparison videos, you kind of got to think about what's the best way to leverage all the variety out there to create interest.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go out and buy every variation of them.
I know, yeah, that's exactly how I feel. It's like, okay, I could blow $1,000 on monsters, but I'm not going to keep them, and it would be a lot of work to even get that far.
Yeah.
But the shrouded monster actually looks pretty good. I mean, I generally like the look of the shrouded Seikos. The thing is I'm generally not going to blow a ton of cash. I mean, I'm definitely not interested enough in the tuning to spend $800 on them or anything like that. Welcome back, Mel Trooper. You're back yet again.
Yeah, if it does it again, I'll just go and watch the show normally.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
I don't understand what's going on. I mean, it's starting to really aggravate me.
Yeah, people were calling it the tuna monster.
Yeah, isn't that funny? I think that's hilarious.
Wow, that's beefy looking.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly looking watch.
Yeah, I got the one I got off Amazon was the black with the red, because they have like those teeth now instead of.
Yeah, they call it it's like the Dracula monster or something funny.
Yeah, the vampire monster or whatever.
Yeah,
that's one.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought it was
hilarious.
pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
The teeth like there got blood on them. That's the one I went with. I like red and black together. It's kind of a cool combination.
Yeah, and actually, in my opinion, it just adds. I mean, I think monsters have a fair amount of depth to the dial as it is, but these ones definitely, in my opinion, it definitely that gives it a lot of visually interesting aspects.
Yeah, definitely. I like the orange one too. The orange one was pretty cool. It's got like just the orange center, but then it's got a black bezel.
That's
like
really
the same.
cool.
that was cool. It was kind of hard to choose between the two of them, but I went with the black one. I mean, I can't believe the difference in, I don't think unless you're kind of a watch nerd or, watch enthusiast like we are, that you would know the differences between the two different monsters. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Most people are like, oh, it just looks different. That not knowing that it has the different movement, the upgraded movement, all those features, and that's, they're not necessarily like make or breaks, but that self-winding thing is kind of a big deal to me, because one of my big pet peeves of, or not self-winding, excuse me, hand winding. My big pet peeves of some automatic watches, the lower end ones, is that you have to pretty much wear the watch every day, or else after probably a day and a half you're dead and you have to reset it. Not a huge deal, You can get the winder, which I do have a winder on the way, because I do have a few of those still, and I don't plan on like selling them or anything. So I got a winder coming, but I actually bought it off the Watch You Seek forum for like a really good price. So, but
that's great.
that kind of having that feature, being able to hand wind is like I said, usually found on like closer to $300 watches. So it makes the Seiko even better value, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's for me, that's one of the reasons why I prefer hand winding watches, is because it's just like becomes part of your routine to wind up the watches that hand wind. And for me, it especially when you have alternative choices. If I have a watch that the power reserve is completely dead and I'm gonna have to set the time, a lot of times I'll choose something else, because I don't have like an hour to kill in the morning to just do whatever I want. I'm usually trying to get ready to go in a pinch and stuff, and so I've had probably 3 or 4 first-gen Seikos, and I had a couple that I really liked. One of them that I had are first-gen monsters, and one of the monsters that I had that was really cool is it was an orange monster, but I actually put in a black monster's chapter ring, so like the thing that was bordering the dial, and that gave it a really interesting contrast too. But the thing was, at the end of the day, it's just the only low-end Seiko that doesn't hand wind that I've kept is my XKX09, and that one is just because I like it. I like the look so much, not because I wear it a lot. It's basically a watch I wear on the weekend. That's about it. Yeah, well, that's cool. You should post a vid on that winder too, because I've got a watch winder, but it's just a crap one, so I've been kind of thinking about buying an upgrade one. I'll be interested to see what kind did you get.
Oh, I don't remember the brand. I looked it up on Amazon before I told the guy to take it, and it had pretty good reviews, like that it was pretty quiet. It's just a 2-watch winder. It wasn't like, huge one or anything. But
yeah, right.
Then I'm like, I stumbled upon like this nice watch box that'll have has 4 winders in it, and then it has a place to store your other watches. And I'm like, ooh, that would be nice to have, and I'm like, it's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, then all of a sudden you realize that you have enough money in watch accessories that you should just buy a watch instead. That's definitely
same thing as like gun accessories and knife stuff. And,
yeah, totally. Yeah. Especially gun accessories for sure. Like okay.
Yeah, like Metal Trooper has enough magazines to probably buy like 3 AKs.
Yeah, if I
he's
sold
on
if I sold all my East German Bakelite mags, I could probably buy me another AK.
That's nice.
But how many AKs do you need, right? I mean,
yeah. I want one of every type.
that goes back to the whole need versus want argument that is really not won very frequently with enthusiasts like us, because if that were the case, like Andrew said, we'd all carry one knife, have one watch, have like one gun. You know what I mean? Like,
have one rifle, one shotgun, one pistol.
Yeah, yep. And I, for a while there, I kind of like had that mentality that I was gonna have, my one defensive rifle, my one defensive pistol, and like a shotgun, and that didn't last very long. Then I was like, I need a shotgun for sporting clays, so that's a different type of gun. And then I need a home defense shotgun versus like a duck hunting shotgun, so that's another gun. I mean, you got like 3 shotguns right there, and you can go on and on. Someone that has, like, Andrew, like in your state, you guys do slugs, right? Shotguns?
Yep. Right, yeah.
Hunt?
Yep.
Yeah, so you have to have, like, a slug gun. That's a different type of gun there.
Yeah, I know, totally, yeah.
War there. Yeah, it gets a little crazy, so...
Yeah, if I had a limited budget, I would probably collect shotguns, because there's a million excuses to collect different kinds of shotguns, that's for sure.
Yeah. That's just a shotgun, and then look at all the AK variants out there and all the AR-15. You know what's funny about the AR-15 though is there's not really like different variants as much as just brands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter as much what brand you buy unless you're like, I mean, obviously you want to get a quality brand, but you can always change the handguards, you can change the furniture, you can make it your own, you know.
Yep.
But with AKs, it's like there's definitely a larger variety of AKs out there because you have the different countries that are producing them, you know.
Right.
So that's what's kind of fun and collectible about AKs is that there's all those different countries, and you know, at one point I think I had a Romanian, a Polish, a Hungarian. Yeah, the Tantal's Polish, right? Yeah, that's the Polish Tantal. A Hungarian AMD 65. I had two Hungarians. I had a underfolder, and then an AMD. Then I had the Polish Tantal, and then I had the Romanian Wasser. I think the only one I've never owned it. No, I had a Sega too. That's technically Russian. And I have Yugoslavian now. What other country am I missing, Metal Trooper?
There's Bulgaria.
Bulgarian. Damn.
Let's see.
Well, yeah,
Oh,
Hungarian. The AMD 65 is Hungarian, right?
Yeah. And then there's
Okay.
Egyptian, the Mahdi's.
Oh, yeah, I've never had a Mahdi, and I've never had. Oh, and I've never had a Norinco AK. I have had a Norinco SKS though, but never a. So Bulgarian, I think, is the only one I never had that produced that, you know, that style of weapon. So that's interesting. See, that's what's kind of fun and collectible about AKs, man. And then you get like you got your magazine collection with all the different mags from the different countries.
Yep.
That's what's kind of fun about them.
And then bayonets.
Yeah. Bayonets. I have a few of those bayonets laying around. I don't know what I'm gonna do with all those.
I thought about getting into bayonets a little bit, but I mean, there's all kinds of. Each country has different bayonets, and they have different variations of those bayonets. So.
Well, one of the Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say the AK is definitely a highly diverse collectible. You know, all their.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Same with like the Mosins. You know, you can collect a ton of different Mosins from all the different countries and the variations and. So one of the topics I wanted to cover tonight, because I do want to. I always say I'm going to cut it before 2 hours, but I really do want it tonight. Is the proposed law being passed, and it just passed in the Texas Legislature, so it has to go to the higher government now. But for allowing you to buy a handgun in a state where you do not have residence.
Right.
Right now you can't do that, and this laws or this court ruling is basically saying it's unconstitutional to restrict based on the state you live in. You know, if you can buy from a different state, kind of thing. So it's an interesting thing because for me it's never been a big deal. I mean, I bought all my guns where I live, but you know, what if I was like, say, visiting family or something, and I came across a deal at a gun shop, and I'm like, oh, I want to buy that. Oh, I can't. You know, I have to have it transferred. I think the process is you have to have it transferred to an FFL in your neck of the woods, which costs you a transfer fee and all that kind of stuff. So that law is trying to make it so you can buy a handgun in any state. Doesn't matter, where you're from, your residence, as long as you're obviously legal to own a handgun. Now, one thing that was interesting about the article, I thought, was Washington D.C. Can't buy any guns there, I don't believe, and they couldn't go down to Virginia or Maryland, their neighboring states, to buy anything. So now they would be able to do that. So that's kind of a win for that area of the nation for sure. I don't think it'll have much effect on me personally because I don't travel out of state that often. And when I do, I'm not typically like gun shopping.
Yeah.
But what my question is for private sales, like in the state of Utah, you can sell privately to another person without, a background check or anything. It's just a matter of like cash is exchanged. But they have to be they do have to be a resident of your same state. They can't be out of state residents. And we have a local classified here to sell guns, and I know some people have like come down from Idaho and Wyoming and have done like transactions with people and not really realizing that was illegal.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that will change if this does get passed and goes into effect. I would assume that law would that wouldn't be in effect anymore either. That if it's a private sale, that you could still sell to, you could just sell to whoever. It doesn't matter what state they're in. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think the law the bill did say from an FFL, so maybe that still would apply. I don't know.
Yeah. See, in Illinois, we gotta do background checks for private sales now as of 2014, which it's not really enforceable. I know a lot of the forums, like to sell guns, everybody, just to be legal, they say, you got to go through your background check and then your waiting period, just like you would if you bought it from an FFL. But I think if you get caught, it's like a misdemeanor, and they really don't do.
Oh.
Oh man.
It keeps happening to him right in the middle of a conversation. That's just
so annoying.
That's crappy. But I thought that was an interesting law, and it's if it does pass, that's a win for Second Amendment, because it'll just make it easier for people to purchase firearms in other states if they have to, and I mean especially like a state like Washington D.C. that's so, or I guess Washington D.C. is technically not a state, but you know what I mean. Just what do they call it? What is that called? Oh my gosh, a brain fart. What is Washington D.C. considered?
A district.
District of Columbia. That's why it's called D.C. Duh.
Yeah.
Okay. For people that live there. Yeah, the capital. I mean, the United States. It's where the president lives. I mean, but it's not really a state. They can't purchase guns there. I don't believe, and they can't. If they can, it's very, very restricted. So this could help someone like that. Maybe Californians. That's another example. They could drive over to Nevada or up to Oregon or something, and they could, bring it back home with them. Makes me wonder though, because and that's where the thin line kind of goes. Is a lot of certain handguns are now illegal in California.
Right,
you can't have a magazine over 15 rounds or 10 rounds, I think. So how would that work? You go out of state and buy a 15-round mag gun, and it's okay. I don't know, man.
Well, and the thing
that starts getting a little.
I mean, it'll no doubt create complexities as far as the implementation of the. I guess the law is overturned. But the thing is if it's not constitutional, then that's exactly the kind of things that individual states need to wrestle with if they're going to be trying to implement their own sets of probably unconstitutional gun control decisions anyway, right? I mean, I think that they've got it coming. I mean, California's got it coming. Deregulation. If it's going to come to the Supreme Court, if there's going to be some big decisions made, then a lot of the decisions that they've made are going to create problems for them, practically speaking. That's a good thing. That those are problems that they should face because they're depriving their citizens of rights that they're entitled to.
No, that's a good point. I mean, what's California going to do? Because they already have unconstitutional, laws set in place in California. So you just wonder how this will affect them, or if they're just going to be like, well, we're the Republic of California, so we're going to ignore that.
Yeah,
I mean,
sometimes those rulings are hard to enforce or create. I mean, because the thing is it's going to be something that's going to definitely have to trickle down to the law enforcement level too, and you're going to have, different areas of public service that are going to need to be updated about regulations for that kind of thing, and it'd be a major decision for sure. So, I mean, I'm definitely following the story, and I'm hopeful. It's good that it got some good momentum in Texas.
yeah, and of course, leave it to Texas to.
Yeah, I know.
The judge that is on this case is probably packing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good for them. I mean,
I would be, man. I have a story that actually, I mean, happened right here in Utah, and it happened to my friend's brother-in-law. Like, one of my good friends, his brother-in-law's a lawyer, and he was prosecuting a case, and it was a like a gang murder type thing going on.
wow.
There's some Polynesian. There's a large population of Polynesians in Utah, and some of them are involved in gangs. So not just Polynesians though. There's Hispanics and stuff as well. But anyway, there's these pretty big gangs here. And I say big gangs. I mean, compared to like California or somewhere, they're probably not. But they're dangerous. They're still
no gangs in rural Iowa.
Yeah. I mean, and they're not anywhere near me. It's just kind of like more on the west side of the valley. But anyway, they were prosecuting this gangbanger for murder, and the witness was on the stand, and they were witnessing against him, and the guy. I mean, picture like a big Polynesian dude, sitting down, even though he's like handcuffed or whatever they are. He somehow gets a hold of a pencil and like just bum rushes the freaking witness stand, dude. Like before anyone could really react, and the guy he went to go try to stab this dude in the neck with his pencil, man, like trying to kill this guy. And the guy, like the witness, kind of pushed him back with his leg a little bit. He still got stabbed, but not like fatally, And the marshal or court officer or whatever that was in there ended up having to shoot the defendant, and kill him.
That's crazy.
And this happened all right in front of, in the courtroom with this, and my my friend's brother-in-law was one of the prosecutors.
Wow, crazy stuff.
Since then, he's like, I need to get my concealed carry permit, and I need to be, because if you're, that cop like was in there, and he was able to, eliminate the threat, but like maybe a half second longer he took to do that, that witness could be dead,
Oh yeah.
And what if the guy like all of a sudden turns on the lawyer and is like, you didn't get my plea I wanted, and like stabs him, you know what I mean? Like, that's scary,
That's not even that hypothetical, because someone who's deranged enough to do that in a court of law is, they've lost their grasp of reality. We had an incident in Makokata. Makokata is a town nearby where I'm living, just at the local county courthouse, where there's a guy who was actually, I think he was a former city planner. I forget some of the details of the guy's background, but he had actually been a county employee in the past, and he had kept coming in because of some property disputes. And finally, one day he came in with I think it was a tiny little .32, like some tiny pistol, and he pulled it out and was going to shoot someone, and he shot at I think it was at one of the attorneys, and then he tried fleeing, and one of the elected officials in the courtroom actually just tackled him. And he tackled him through a plane of glass, so like very like action movie kind of thing. It was a really dramatic. And when they were wrestling to try to get control of the gun, the guy shot himself. The guy who stopped him is definitely a hero for tackling a guy with a firearm and stuff. But I had to laugh too, because the decision of the county as a result of the event was they're going to install more cameras. And
Yeah, because cameras are going to stop that from
I
happening.
know, it was like, okay, great. So it's like, I mean, rather than create a program or something to empower people to do what this individual did, which is close to engage on a threat. We're just gonna make people feel safe by having cameras and checkpoints, because even if there's a checkpoint, you can shoot your way right through a checkpoint. I mean, yeah. Oh, they have. My wife is saying they do have a cop at all the hearings now, so that's a good thing, because they didn't even have a cop before. So.
Yeah, and if that cop hadn't have been there, that witness would be dead, and who knows who
Well,
else.
that's what I'm saying, is it wasn't a cop; it was just some elected official, one of the council people who just tackled this guy, and so they had to they made the decision. I guess my wife's saying that to have a cop there too. So so now they have a cop there, which is good.
Real quick, but I'm going to wrap it up soon, I think.
Yeah, that sounds good.
There's a comment in the comments that was actually, and I thought we covered this a little bit when we did the SHOT Show episode where we talked about some of the new knives coming out.
Yeah.
But he mentioned it. Maybe we didn't mention it. So, Cold Steel, kind of announced their 2015 lineup, and they really haven't changed their lineup much, but they are upgrading the steel in their knives. They're offering a CTX XHP option on some of the knives, and another Carpenter steel, the
BD1 or
BZD1, is that what it's called? BD1.
Yeah, BD1.
So that's actually kind of a big deal, because I've always thought Cold Steel makes a really solid knife, but it's like Osate, wah.
I know. Yeah.
Not that Osate, honestly, is not a bad steel. It's easy to sharpen, and
I like
but that's interesting that they've kind of said, okay, instead of doing, they do have a couple new models. They have like a new assisted opening model, which I'm not sure how that would work with a lockback.
Yeah, it's
really
like
curious on that one.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I guess it's like a new. I mean, it's basically a new patent, from what I read, that they're able to develop an assisted opening triad locking knife, which, I mean, Rob over at Apostle P's done a good job of showing that you can fine tune some of these triad lock knives so that they open and close smoothly. But like, this is definitely an out of box option that'll make those lockbacks a lot easier to use.
Yeah, but how would they be to close? I mean, think about most.
That's a good thing.
Most assisted openers are like, you have to fight that spring to close the knife.
I don't like assisted openers.
Imagine with a lockback. I mean, what is that going to be like?
Yeah, it'll probably be gnarly. But yeah, I mean, I have to agree that that's a huge step forward for Cold Steel, and I think it took everybody by surprise. I mean, it's definitely going to make them a lot more competitive. To me, as far as like, for the same price that you could get a full-size Griptilian or something, you can get a knife that is probably designed for a similar kind of, all-around use, hard-use kind of knife that you would be afraid to beat on, and going to have a better lock probably. I mean, at least the access slots. I don't know if it's a better lock. We could have a tight discussion about the values, the pluses and minuses of the triad lock, but to have a triad lock knife with a good steel, I think, presents a pretty unique product. That, I mean, it's definitely going to get. It definitely put them back on the list for me, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the, and they're actually out right now.
Oh, okay.
Well, the Recon 1 is available in CSXHP from Blade HQ for just over $100 for the Recon 1. That's a 4-inch knife, 4-inch blade. Considering the steel, that's a steal. No pun intended. That's actually a pretty good deal, man. The Recon 1 is a solid knife, and it's not like an EDC-friendly knife, in my opinion. It's got really super aggressive G10 on it, and it's, a large knife. But for a, I don't know, like a hard-use knife, it would be a really good choice,
Yeah. I mean, there are plenty of times where, I mean, I have a lot of small EDC knives, but there have been plenty of times, too, where it's just fun to carry something big and beefy. And
Well, yeah, definitely.
cold steel is great for that. I mean,
Yeah, and I like one of the things that I like about Cold Steel is they actually do a really good stone wash on their blades, but you'd never know that because they're all painted black. But if you actually strip the coating off, there's a really beautiful stone wash on all the blades.
yeah, I've seen ones that were stripped, and I agree they look really nice. And the Taiwanese ones have fantastic finish. Like the Code 4 that I had was fabulous. I mean, that was a great knife for the price. I got that on the secondary for $40, and I felt like it was easily an $80 knife just based on fit and finish.
I really like the American Lawman. That's a really nice one. It's got really good ergonomics. It's good size too. It's a little more
Yeah,
easy.
I'm just looking at that one right now. That's a very cool model.
They have the new Andrew Demko collaboration. I mean, all their knives are technically Andrew Demko designs because the Tri-Lock, but they actually have a Demko like custom collaboration coming out called the Floor Max.
Yeah, that's very cool.
It's freaking huge. It's got a 6-inch handle with a 4-inch blade.
Oh,
yeah, it's a monster. But have you seen the price on it?
No.
Their website has it listed as $600.
Oh, jeez, okay.
So I would think it'll probably be closer to $5, when it actually sells on the street.
Yeah.
But when you consider that if you're like a big Andrew Demko fan and a custom Demko is going to cost you more than that, that's not a bad price,
Yeah, I don't know how much
and
Demkos go for. Custom Demkos go.
I'm just looking at the specs on it. I'm not seeing anything. I mean, CPM 20 CV steel, so that's good.
Yeah, that's high end.
But is it stainless steel liners or titanium liners? Is what I'm trying to find. I would think it's titanium for that price. But yeah, they have a couple. That new AK-47 fixed blade looks pretty cool. The AK-47 folder they now have a field knife. So that one looks pretty slick, and that's got 3V steel on it. Pretty pricey, $285. That's pretty far up there. So, but they have some, and it's kind of cool to see. Oh yeah, they do have that new karambit called the Tiger Claw. That's pretty nasty looking.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah, so they have some cool. They do have some new designs. New models. I like that they're bringing out. They're kind of taking a page out of Spyderco's book and bringing out, the same models they've always sold, but in different steels.
Yeah.
And that's been very successful for Spyderco. I mean, look at all the paramilitary 2s you can get in all these different steels, and some of them are, exclusives, and they end up selling for a crazy price on the secondary market. And
right. Yeah, for sure.
well, that's it. I'm gonna probably get another one of those American Lawmans in that upgraded steel. That's a good solid knife,
Yeah, it's a great blade shape. Really useful blade shape. And yeah, they're gonna.
That's good. Ben Long did bring up a good point, and I was just reading that, but I forgot to bring it up. They did upgrade DLC coating, so they don't use that Teflon.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually DLC coated blades now, which I kind of wish they would just offer us, stonewash. I don't know why they need to coat everything black. I mean, I don't know, but
I mean, DLC at least that'll wear a lot more attractively compared to the painted stuff. But yeah, I agree.
yeah, you can tell. I mean, just looking at their website and looking at the Recon One, the DLC coating, you can tell that it's actual DLC versus that Teflon paint they used before. So
Right. Yep.
that's pretty cool. Well,
Yeah,
we lost Metal again, and he says it's frustrating, and he's just kind of in the comments now. So, sorry, buddy. He kept getting kicked out of the chat.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to wrap it up. Andrew, do you have anything else you wanted to cover before I do?
No, that sounds great. It was a fun talk. We covered a lot of different stuff, and thanks for everyone who was listening.
Yeah, let's go run down the list real quick.
Okay.
Ben Long was just saying, peace out. Metal Trooper is now a commentator. We had Brian T-Hand Knives, 50 Stitch of Steel. A newcomer called, the YouTube name looks like Eddie HTTP. He actually said he found the channel for my Benchmade 45 review, so that's cool. Make sure you subscribe. Yeah, Gear Guide 19, Urban to Country Homestead left a while ago. So, but we had a good, a typical kind of turnout for us. I think nothing too crazy, but nothing. We kind of had our regulars, so that's cool. So we'll plan on next Thursday. I don't have any conflicts, I don't think. So if you do, let me know ahead of time.
Sure thing. Yeah. Yeah, it was fun.
All right, man. Oh, excuse me. I'm a little tired now. That's why I'm trying to cut it, and you can see that big yawn I just had.
Yeah, I was up late trying to finish this video, and I've got to do some audio stuff, but it should be good to go tonight. So that'll be one of the AV8 watch reviews. It will be
Cool.
It'll be the big one. It's the Hawker Hurricane, which is a 46mm pilot watch.
Is that one quartz or is that automatic movement?
It's automatic. Yeah, it's automatic. It's got a Chinese movement, so I kind of talked about that, pluses and minuses of that. But it's a fun watch for $100. Very unique. I mean, it's like AV8's like a brand where you would buy a watch from them because you just want something unique, and you'll definitely never see one on the street. But I mean, the build quality isn't as consistent, I would say, as Seiko or Orient, but overall, it's a comparable offering.
Is the Flyboy a Chinese movement also?
No, that one's a Miata, so that's Japanese.
So that's a little bit upgraded.
Yeah, it's funny because it's an upgrade on paper, but actually it's not been doing as well as the Chinese movement.
That's funny.
Yeah, the particular Miata movement that they chose for the Flyboy has basically it has this weird problem where the second-hand stutters because of the inherent design of the gearing of the movement. It just isn't on a continuous gearing, so that if you jolt the Flyboy hard, the second hand will actually literally stop for a second. And then it'll just resume ticking away, and that's built into the design of the watch. And I don't like that at all. I think that's annoying.
Well, good to know. Yeah, I'm looking forward to those reviews. I'm definitely interested in that Orient too. I don't like AV8's styles, and it's kind of refreshing.
There's a lot of micro brands out there, and I have not covered micro brands a lot on my channel. But it's kind of one of those things where you get the good, the bad, and the ugly with everything. And with micro brands, you just get a totally different approach to collecting, and the kind of things that you prioritize when you're collecting micros is a little different. Kind of like the Meritech is a great example of a very minimalist, focused micro that you buy it because it's a very complete package, and it's just exactly what it is. And this is kind of the AV8 that I'll be doing a review on is almost the opposite. You buy it because you want like something kind of whimsical and goofy, even a little bit, which is not normally the way I would collect watches. But there are definitely guys who just have fun and they want something different. So. But anyway, well, you have a great week, man, and maybe hopefully next week we'll have some of those traditionals that we've been waiting around for. That'd be nice.
Yeah, we'll chat about that offline real quick. But,
okay, sounds good.
Hey, thanks guys for coming. We'll see you next week.